interbank payment system took place recently, and it had to do with the Federal Reserve, and some suspect that there might be something strange going on here. We're going to get into that today. Hi, everybody. I'm Justin. This is Where's the Hope News, where we bring light to the darkness. Before we get started, head on over to stillnessinthestorm.com/donate, where you can support work like this. We'd really appreciate it. Please also subscribe to my alt-tech platforms. We're going to have content that I can't post on YouTube there. So make sure you subscribe to that, because at some point they might take my channel down, and I wouldn't be surprised, because I'm going to be trying to reveal a lot of stuff that is counter-narrative, and they don't want that. So let's get into this here. Reading from Zero Hedge, the Federal Reserve's critical system for interbank payments, which serves as a backbone of virtually all money transfers in the US, went down Wednesday afternoon as trillions of payments suddenly ground to a halt. The outage, similar to significant disruption suffered by the Fed in 2018, was widespread across all payment systems maintained by the central bank, including the vital automated clearinghouse system known as Fed ACH, and the FedWire Fund's interbank transfer service. So what is the ACH? The ACH is a national system that processes batches of electronic funds transfers such as payroll, Social Security benefits, tax refunds, corporate payments to vendors, and utility payments, according to the Fed's website. The commercial service handled 62.1 million transactions a day on average in 2019, with an average value of $1,800. Let's just pause here for a moment. The way that an economy works is obviously through facilitating transactions. So when I buy something, you're going to receive funds and vice versa. Taking down that system with respect to the Fed means that there's some type of inability for commerce to take place. That has major implications. Now, for those of you who don't know, the US dollar is the world's reserve currency, and the Federal Reserve in particular is what we might say one of the biggest stones in the foundation of the global financial system. There's a lot of talk, especially with respect to the media and the Great Reset, that the underpinnings of this financial system is going to be reimagined. So one would think that a situation like this might itself herald some other type of change or something that's happening in the future. Now, I don't necessarily know what exactly is happening, but having studied the basis of the financial system and the claims that there might be something even better happening, not necessarily the Great Reset, but something much better than that, something that actually gives the people a lot more power to wield their ability to transact with each other and create prosperity. There might be something going on here. I don't know. Let's continue reading. Quote, a Federal Reserve operational error resulted in disruption of service in several business lines, said Jim Sadler, spokesman for the Richmond Fed, in an email statement. Quote, we are restoring services and are communicating with all Federal Reserve financial service customers about the status of operations. Around 2:30 p.m., FRBServices.org reported that after a roughly hour-long outage, the Fed's central bank services and Fast Cash were back to normal operation. While the little-used Fed mail did not suffer disruption, all other services are still listed as service disruption. As I was finalizing this video, I checked the FRBServices.org website, and as you can see, all of the services have been restored. Zero Hedge is kind of hinting at what I was thinking, like, is this the Great Reset? They're kind of making a joke, but the point is that anybody who's been paying attention to what's been happening in the global economy knows the World Economic Forum and a whole bunch of other entities are all talking about this Great Reset that's going to happen. So what is an interbank system exactly? It was a system that was created to help banks transact between each other with respect to many different types of transactions. It's used a lot in the stock exchange, and especially used with respect to currency trading. We're talking about a clearinghouse system. A clearinghouse is basically the place that makes sure as both people in the transaction have what they promise that they're going to have and are able to deliver. And so there's a kind of neutral location. You can imagine, just to use like a really everyday example, if you're going to buy something off of Craigslist, you're not going to send the payment without actually seeing the goods, because how do you know that you're actually going to get what you paid for? Well, the concept of a clearinghouse is this neutral kind of place, often maintained by a third party, to make sure that the buyer and seller actually have what they're supposed to have, to ensure that there's a clear transaction and there's no mucking up of the situation. eBay and PayPal, in this sense, are kind of clearinghouses, because if I want to buy something from you, you list it on eBay, I bid for it, I send my payment through PayPal, it is received on your end through PayPal. And then if you don't send me the product, I have the ability to dispute the transaction and get my money back because I didn't receive the service. And that happens through this third-party clearinghouse concept. So an interbank payment system, which is the system that went down, is related to this clearinghouse concept. A clearinghouse is an important part of an advanced financial system because if you're not trading in like cows versus wooden blocks or something like that, you're going to need some type of entity that allows and facilitates the transaction from one place to another in goods and services. In an advanced economy and civilization, with respect to trading anyway, and the facilitating of moving goods and services from one place to another, you need some type of a clearinghouse entity. You do need some type of a banking entity. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that the way that the banks work now is like great and we should just be happy as hell. But I am saying that the tool itself is valid. So it's important to distinguish when we're trying to figure out like what is good and what is bad. Don't necessarily think just because a tool is used bad now means that the tool itself is inherently evil. That's not the case. The benefits to having an advanced service like a clearinghouse, like a bank, like a currency, is that I can produce my goods and I can focus a lot of energy on producing these really awesome goods. And I can trade them with you as the person who wants these goods. And we can trade whatever you're producing in a way that has a fungible asset to back it or a currency to back it. So I don't have to spend all my time worrying about whether or not you're actually going to make good on your promise to pay me whatever it is that you're producing. So we use a currency to do that. If I'm a farmer and I have eggs and I have milk and I have cheese and you're a carpenter and the thing that you're producing is the ability to create products out of wood, then if I don't need any wood and you don't need any eggs, then how are we supposed to trade with each other? It's going to really slow the economy down. So a clearinghouse and a banking service and a currency itself is something that is actually really important and really helpful. So it's not that we want to do away with these things, but we do want to make sure that they're really beneficial and honest and fair, which obviously we're living in a situation where that's not necessarily the case now. I digress though. The point is that a clearinghouse is a tool that a civilization that has advanced economy, meaning that people are trading using a currency, needs in order to ensure that what I'm bringing to the table and what you're bringing to the table is valid, it actually is there, and there's a way to make sure that things work smoothly so that the integrity of the system. We have to have confidence in the financial institution itself, the accounting, the banking, all of that, so that I can focus on making really good things and you can focus on making really good things and we don't have to worry about all these other things. We do know that there was a massive dip in the cryptocurrency market over the past couple days. About 8% of the market lost its value. And to further explain what this idea of a clearinghouse is, cryptocurrency is itself a decentralized method by which two people can exchange currency, and therefore the values and goods and services behind that can be exchanged without having to rely on a big federal institution, a big central banking institution that is often the place where a lot of corruption and nastiness happens. There's a really good reason why these corrupt banking institutions don't necessarily like it when average and everyday people figure out a way to facilitate their own clearinghouse services using technology, because they can't do what they do and maintain power and control by manipulating the economy itself. It's unclear right now what exactly caused this. I don't necessarily know if we're going to find out anything because it's not like these people like to reveal their secrets, but I do know that a disruption of this magnitude likely had some type of an effect on the economy and there might be something going on there. There's some rumors flying around that this itself might indicate some type of behind the scenes manipulations and kind of Cold War activities happening between the forces of goodness and the forces of darkness. I don't really know. I can't prove that, so I'm not necessarily going to assert that that's what's happening. But I do know that the lifeblood of a nation and an economy and the global control system is most definitely the Federal Reserve and the banking system. And so it's entirely possible that something might be happening. I'll close the video by saying that it's really important for us as people to really grasp what these things mean. I'm going to continue to start to produce content that kind of reveals the behind the scenes aspects of how our society works, because our dependence on these banking institutions is what disempowers us so much. The lifeblood of any society is trust. A clearinghouse exists to help facilitate trust. So when we understand the deeper aspects of law, when we can use our rights and engage in commerce and trade and business in an honorable, honest way, where we're our brother's keeper, then we can limit the necessity of need with respect to these corrupt systems, and we can start to have a lot more prosperity. The more we understand the law and the more we're able to understand how these things work, the better we can identify fraud and corruption, and the better we can create trust between each other, so that we don't need to rely on these massive banking institutions that cause all sorts of manipulation and ultimately devalue life and reduce prosperity so that they can do all of the things that they do. We'll just leave it at that. Thank you so much for watching. Please support our work. Find a link in the description below, and I'll see you next time on Where's the Hope News.